Hi everybody, in this episode we're going to deal with a rimless pot by building a muck wall. Welcome back everybody. So I know some of you guys are in the midst of repotting craze right now, but some of you guys might come against this issue or concern is how do you repot with a pot that is rimless like this one. This is a Yamaki pot that I got from Nathan Simmons several years ago. And what I planted in here is a clump style Princess Persimmon, which I got from like a little sapling. He sort of thickened up over the couple of years. The muck wall that was here before actually wore away, and then it was in the shade last year, and I just buried it in this top dressing of long fiber sphagnum moss. But right now, what we're gonna do is I'll speed through the process of the repotting portion of it. That's really standard. But I'll play the video a little later where I'm applying the muck or building the muck wall so you understand the concept of it, and then we'll finish up with that part. All right, so we're back. I just took it down to bare root, put it back in this container, secured it. Now we're gonna build this wall first. So a lot of times people that don't have a what we call a rimless pot, what you need to do is to build a wall, because if I put akadama on it, it's going to fall right off. So what we're going to do is build a small wall made of muck. So muck, and you can make this at home. This is what the one mine looks like. Is 50% like really fine river silt, and 50% this stuff, sphagnum moss. Okay, long strands if you can get it. And then just mix it into like a very loose, like muddy mixture. And the purpose of muck in this case is a structural piece where it allows water to penetrate through it. Okay, if we use just pure clay, when it dries like a pot, and water doesn't able to penetrate through it. Muck, on the other hand, is more absorbent, so it allows that water penetration, air penetration to go through. So you're making mud cakes. I remember as a child making mud cakes, pretty much what you're doing here. So the technique, if you don't have river silt or like a bottom silt area, really fine silty material, you can also use what the Japanese use, which is the leftover akadama dusk, and that's what they use to build muck. Okay, so people, when you're repotting, the dust that you shift out of your akadama, you can use that as your muck. That's what Japanese people traditionally use. This is what I use because it's free and cheap, but whatever works in this case. The whole key is 50% whatever material you can get, river silt or akadama dust, and then 50% this sphagnum moss to make that absorbent and let basic air and water be able to penetrate through. Okay. What I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna probably speed through as much as I can, is I'm gonna build a basically a wall out of muck, and then I'm gonna put pure akadama into it. I pretty much repot this every year, 2 years, and then build the wall again, put more akadama, build wall, more akadama, and then I'm gonna layer this. You can do it 2 ways. You can layer it with sphagnum moss, or I'm gonna get some moss, real moss, and then layer it on top. So it's another insulating layer, especially in this pot being so thin. So without further ado, let me build my muck wall here, and then I'll just get going. And of course, you don't like it, you can speed through it. I won't make too many commentaries, but it's gonna look like a fat donut. If you know what I'm talking about, you're just making this wall, and I'm not making a full wall. And this is kind of like a loose soil mix, or not loose soil mix, but a very cakey mixture here. Some people like make little ropes. I put it right on, and I try to get most of the debris out. That's the hardest part, when you don't know where your silt is coming from. You can get some like small stones, sticks in it. That could be in this bag of moss. You want to remove all that. And I'm just building the small rim. You can see this, it's just building up the small rim. You can make it any shape you want. Sometimes I'll make it a kidney shape, or something a little more interesting. I'm just making a dome. I found out I can hold a little more soil for this poor guy. And of course, any sticks. I'm gonna build it really high, and in the worst case scenario, I can smoosh it back down a little later. But I'm just building my wall. And if you remember as a child of making, mud forts, I remember making mud forts. Those are fun. That's what you're doing here. Okay, so I'm just gonna speed this along a little bit. My barrier is made, okay, as much as I can. And now you get your akadama. Fill that in. Oh, wrong one. Got myself. There's two ways of really going through this. You can muck the whole thing, almost to layer the whole thing. Water will still penetrate through. I leave this entire area so water can penetrate through. If you water too hard, eventually this container, this rim that you made will wash away. Your goal is to maintain it. So I'm gonna get some real moss. I'm gonna moss the entire thing to encapsulate it. And then when I water it, it should go through the air hole. So let me come back with some moss. And we'll finish. So the mossing process. If you ever moss a tree for a show, it's pretty much the same idea. Yeah. It's just another layer of protection for your tree. And it's another insulating factor for your tree in this case, especially being so shallow. Found out this moss I have, this sun moss, does really well. It protects the thing from eroding away. I'm being really artsy-fartsy with my my moss here, so if you're wondering what I'm doing here, I'm just trying to make it look semi-realistic. Might be a little overboard on the moss, but it's gonna look pretty darn complete when I'm done. This section. This may dry out throughout the growing season, but I'm okay with it. Again, mossing is like, it's like an art, it's art form itself. Trying to find the right piece that fits. Some people like that technique of mounding it. If you understand what I'm talking about, they'll make it like little mounds. I like using as big as sheets as I can. And if you keep this moist enough, it actually insulates this whole thing pretty well for the entire year. And this is the front, and this is the front you're looking at. This is the back I'm working on. Of course, you can this whole section on top right here is open, so water can penetrate through. Of course, I will water this in a minute here, but let me show you the final product. It's pretty good. If you got some holes and you're not satisfied with it, you can always go back and plug them up. Or what you could do is put a little bit of silica sand, and that should fill up kind of these holes up. But there you go. And I'm just gonna water it, let it sit in semi partial sun or morning sun only, and then fill that gap in. But that's it. Okay. So I got now like repotting, but like really repotting, with a little extra step with that muck wall and then some extra moss on top. But there you go. And once it starts pushing, I'll trim everything back, and select a couple of branches I want at this point. But there you go. If you guys like this type of inventive, some fun experimental stuff, like and subscribe. I'm not sure about finding a pot like this again, but if you have something like the Ron Lang pot that I picked up, that's another technique you can use, a similar technique you can use, or any slabs. Slab will work this way too. So if you have any of those type of pots, this is a technique for you. If you guys like it, like this video, like and subscribe. Love to hear from you guys. Love you. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.